It's Gina Award on Living Better With Dementia at Phonic FM 106.8. Adam, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much for having me, Gina.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So you've come up from Cornwall today?
Yes, from Saltash, so from the east side of Cornwall. It's about an hour's drive.
Yeah, and a nice sunny day for it too.
Yes, nice day for a drive.
Yeah. So Adam's here today, and we're going to be talking about his book, Unbreakable Bond. But first of all, let's talk about the fact that your dear mum was diagnosed with vascular dementia in 2010.
Correct.
So what happened? Did you have a sense that something wasn't right?
Yes, we had a sense that had been growing for a little while that something wasn't quite right, but then having the courage to try and convince somebody they need to go see the doctor, and then getting them to the doctor to get the diagnosis took a little while, but we eventually got there and then got the ball rolling from there, because it's not something that anybody wants to admit to themselves that they have dementia or a family member has, so it was getting our heads out of the sand and doing something proactive about it.
Yeah, and I think that's really relevant actually, because I certainly, in the work that I'm doing in the community, I hear a lot about the challenge about going to the GP to even ask the question or discuss the fact that there could be issues with the memory, the person's memory. So how was your mum about that? I mean, did you sort of have to, how did you get her there?
I think the diagnosis for us was very helpful because it got us a lot of support and understanding, but for her it broke her heart to know that, because she was still a bit with it when she got her diagnosis, so she knew what was happening to her, and then after diagnosis, sadly, she started to go downhill, and that downhill progression progressed quite rapidly come the end.
Yeah, which is extremely sad, isn't it? And so when she received the diagnosis in 2010, did she go to a memory clinic at that point, or was it just the GP, or how did it work then?
We started by going to a local GP, and then we were referred to specialists at Derriford, because that's our nearest biggest hospital.
Yeah.
And there was about 3 or 4 meetings, scans, various appointments and tests and whatnot, and then it's nearly 12 months later till we got the official diagnosis, although we're pretty sure from the first consultation we had at the hospital in Derriford that we knew what we were facing, but it wasn't until we gone for a battery of tests that we got the official diagnosis.
The formal diagnosis, yeah.
In 2010.
And that was vascular dementia?
Yeah.
And what would you say, I mean, how was that for you as a family? Because obviously there was yourself, you were very instrumental in the care for her over that period of time, and your dad as well. Yeah,
I think that the day we got the diagnosis, I just closed myself in the bathroom and cried for a good few hours. But from then, it was then having the support of the local NHS memory support team, and other people just really directing us where we needed to go and where we could get help, which was really important, because at the time we wanted to focus on caring for my mum. We didn't have all the time in the world to go and search things or find things, and thankfully we were pushed in the right directions by the local NHS. And
I think that's really important to acknowledge that as well, isn't it? Because post-diagnosis is often a challenge for people, and as it is, receiving a diagnosis is hard enough for the person and the family. To have to think, how am I going to navigate this system, it can be really complex.
Yes, it can. There's a lot of people out there that want to help, but it's trying to find the right path, and everybody with dementia is slightly different, and every family makeup and support group's a bit different, so it's trying to have the right people around you and, like I say, navigating the right path.
Yeah, and it sounds like you would say that you had a good support network.
Yes, we were very thankful for the people that we had around us that helped us out a lot.
Yeah, and did you yourself attend a support group?
I didn't, because my dad did a lot and it helped him, but because I was balancing caring with work, and all my time where I wasn't working, I wanted to be with my mum, supporting her and her needs, so I didn't get involved in that side, but I know that it did help my dad a lot.
And so your role, did you say you did live at home with your mum?
Yes, I did.
So was that a conscious choice? Were you there anyway, or?
That I was living in America, that my visa came to an end, so I was coming home anyway, and then got a job locally and hadn't got back on my feet post that, so it's just a lucky coincidence the way that I was there, and I was so glad that my visa did come to an end prematurely, that I was at home at the right time. It all worked out. At the time I was pretty sad, but it all worked out because I needed to be home to look after my mum.
Yeah. And do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have 2 older brothers.
And were they around at the time? Or?
My eldest brother's in the RAF and here, there and everywhere, but he came home when he could. My middle brother lives in Plymouth, so he again would come around on a weekly basis when he could.
Yeah, and it sounds like, because we had a little chat on the phone, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, and it sounds like you had a really close relationship with your mum.
Yeah, we lived in a very rural community in Cornwall, and there wasn't much to do. My mum was my best friend growing up, and she'd take us everywhere and drive us everywhere we needed to go, because the bus system was rubbish, so you couldn't get anywhere unless mum drove me, and she was really supportive of everything that I was into.
That sounds absolutely fantastic. Yeah. She sounds like a lovely human being.
She was, and that's the reason why I wanted to write the book, because she gave so much for other people and didn't take a moment for herself, and she enjoyed helping other people. So hopefully by the book I've written about our experiences, that her legacy could go on and help lots of people in years to come. Yeah,
which I'm no doubt it will, and it's something that we'll talk about in a minute, the book, because it's really important. And so going back to your mum, how did the book come about? I know you're saying that obviously from your point of view, you know, we can talk about the content of some of that in a minute, but did you just feel she's done so much for everyone? It was like
the least I could do for her was just to do everything I could to help her and just make her days a bit better, because I knew where we were heading with it, but it was just trying to make the best of every day and trying not to dwell on the future too much, and just try and make every day as happy and safe environment as I could for her.
Yeah, and one of the things that we mentioned on the phone as well was about going out and about in the community and how that was. And from what you said, I mean, we'll talk about that, but it sounded like you were really organised, you really thought things through.
Yes, you have to, because there are so many unknowns or unpredictable factors when you go out in the community with someone with dementia. So sometimes if you haven't thought things through, or going to places where they're understanding and have a bit of knowledge of the situation, then it can be add even more stress to going out and about. So it's just trying to make what can be a daunting thing a bit easier and a bit more enjoyable.
So I'm curious, why did you think about those things? Why did you think about like planning and, like, for example, we talked and you said about having rung a restaurant or a coffee shop or something, saying that you were coming in, and I think that's absolutely great. Why did that come about? Why did you think about that? Because
I wanted to enrich my mum's life. I didn't want just to take her out for the sake of taking her out if it's going to cause more stress. I wanted to make sure that when we went out it was enriching for her benefits, that it wasn't just for going out's sake. So I was very on the ball with like what times we would go to places, so it's a bit quieter, so less distractions, less stress, a bit more privacy, and go to places where I knew the staff were accommodating, so avoiding chains and going to local independent places where they had the time to actually invest in my mum.
And I think that's really important, and it sounds like from what you were saying that they were really supportive.
Yes, and like a lot of these places, this was before a lot of the Dementia Friends have got big recently. In the last year or two have done some amazing things, but there wasn't that many shops with dementia friendly stickers or training the staff had, so it was just explain the situation to them beforehand. And there are a lot of people that weren't officially trained to deal with dementia but were very understanding and did a great job.
And also, I think, it could be perceived, couldn't it, as an invisible condition.
Yes, because that's the one thing I touch on in my book, and I say to a lot of people in life, that it's easy to make allowances for somebody that's in a wheelchair or on crutches, that open a door for them and things like that. But for mental conditions, not just dementia, for a whole raft of them, because you can't always see it, and because sometimes their actions can be perceived as weird or not normal.
Exactly.
Then they're othered from other people, and people distance themselves from them, whereas they wouldn't distance themselves from somebody in a wheelchair or somebody who'd broken their leg, for instance.
And it is about, if you peel it all back and think about society and how it is, and with lots of different conditions, that it really is about human beings generally being compassionate and understanding, and whilst we all judge, it's trying not to judge and realise that if someone is behaving in a certain way, there could be a very valid reason for it.
Exactly, and with dementia, that I so want there to be a cure and a prevention. I hope that one day we do get to a position where you have those things, but until we get to that position, that I want to encourage society as a whole just to try and make life better for people with mental conditions and to make their life a bit easier, because I think we can all play a part in that.
Hear on that.
Yes.
On that note, let's have a song and then we'll talk about the book afterwards. So we've now got the writer, Ellie Goulding. Adam, great to have you here today on this Saturday afternoon. We were just talking while the music was playing there, Ellie Goulding, great track, about how your book came about, as in publishing it. Tell me about that, because I find that it's a really interesting story.
Well, as soon as I finished writing the book, I got edited by a professional that used to be the editor of the independent newspaper, and he's retired, and his other half had dementia, so I was on a dementia forum and saying I need somebody to edit the book and a different set of eyes on it, and he said he'd do it. He edited it, gave me back the manuscript, and from that point I spent a year sending it around publishing houses that I knew had published books in the dementia field before, so that they'd be a bit more giving of the story and wanting to publish it. And so I went through, sent off a lot of manuscripts, a lot of printing, a lot of trees gone to waste, sadly, and posting that off to different companies, and I kept getting positive feedback, but nobody biting, because they all said that yes, very well written, it's an interesting story, but the last book we did on dementia didn't get many sales because it was too much of a dismal subject, was one of the emails I got back, but they were all along the same lines, because as a publishing house, they're interested in their profit and loss, and they want to make sure that everything they publish, they make a good profit from, because they're a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I got more fed up. I spent a year, I kept going, realised that I just wanted to get the story out there, and that it was doing nobody any good just being on my computer or just sent to these publishing companies, not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I then wanted to self-publish the book, but I didn't want to do it for a vanity publisher. I wanted to do it properly and list it properly on ISBN and everything, so that each book could be available in Waterstones, WH Smiths, etc. So to do that, I'd start my own publishing company, work with a printing company, work with a distribution company, register the ISBNs myself. So all that together comes to quite a sum of money. So I did a crowdfunder to fund the cost of the book, which smashed its target within 3 weeks.
How great is that?
Yes, so I raised over £600 in 3 weeks, whereas I was only trying to raise £500. So then that started every ball rolling, and from there it's just been picked up by lots of national newspapers, David Cameron, people in the NHS.
That on the front,
although he divides opinion at the moment, but this is before a lot of the stuff came out in the last few months about him, but yes, he's still a big supporter of the book. Yeah,
absolutely, and I think it's important to remember that anyway. And so what a great, how fantastic, and you were obviously so tenacious and so passionate about this is going to happen, and to have, it must have been really disheartening, in a way, to get these nice comments saying great book, great story, whatever, but no thank you.
Yeah. And because it's for my mum, and that makes it even more I want people to say yes to it. So when people say no to it, it's like they're saying no to my mum and my mum's story.
Absolutely.
So it hurts even more. But just now, since I've self-published, it's just great. Instead of hitting that brick wall and getting negative stuff back, just everything's just been so super positive, and I could have hoped for a more positive response to it.
I'm really delighted.
But I'm now trying to work on the ground with the book. I'm starting in Cornwall. The Cornwall Library Service has started putting it into libraries, been working with them. I'm hoping to go out throughout the country, branching from Cornwall up the country, and work with different counties' library services just to get it into as many libraries as I can.
I've got a lot of connections in libraries, Adam.
There you go.
That's good, isn't it? Devon Libraries, well, as in Libraries Unlimited now, it's changed, but so that's good to know. But fantastic. I think that's really good. I'm really pleased for you.
And the Alzheimer's Society have started picking up my story, and I'm doing a few events for them, one on May 18th in Cornwall at their dementia conference they're running there.
Great.
And so working part partnership with them, just continuing getting the story out to as many people as possible, because it's not about making money. That I did a crowdfunder so I could get it started, but now all the money I make from the book just gets ploughed back into it and getting it out to as many people as possible.
Great. That's really good to know, isn't it? So going back to the book, did your mum know that you were going to write the book?
That I promised her before she died that I would be writing a book, and that I think she was taking it. I can't be for sure, but because I so knew what she was like in life and that she wanted to help other people, that I knew that I'd have a blessing for it, because that she just wanted to touch as many lives as possible, and hopefully through this book that forevermore, even when I'm gone, hopefully people will still read the book. You never know, it still might be relevant to some people, and just continuing her legacy for as long as we possibly can.
Yeah, hopefully it will be timeless, and it's so. Yeah, share a bit about the book then. What would some nuggets of drawing people in so we can sell lots of books?
Okay, so the book is primarily aimed at people that are caring for a loved one with dementia, or think that a loved one might have dementia. That I think that the NHS, a lot of health professionals do an amazing job of caring for people with dementia, but in this country there is a big burden on people that are not professional carers, don't know anything about care or dementia, that have just found themselves immediately in this position where their world's just got a bit out of control. They know that a loved one's been diagnosed with dementia and don't know where to begin. This book is like a great starting point of just dealing with your own emotions as a carer, trying to be the best carer you can be, how to manage your time, what you do during the day, where you can get support. So it's like a one-stop shop, just for some very basic, simple, practical advice to get you started when you're caring for somebody with dementia. Or there's a lot of stuff in there which could cross over if you're caring for somebody with other mental illnesses as well. There's a lot of good nuggets in there. Yeah,
so it sounds like it's a really useful resource book.
Yeah.
And you share your emotional journey in that. I mean, I feel very guilty to say that I haven't read the full book yet, so I'm sorry, but it's on my list of things to do. I promise I will, and I'll give you my feedback. But from what I have read, I mean, it really is. It's going to be useful to so many people, so many informal carers.
Yeah.
You know, because as we said earlier on, you know, to navigate the system is, well, hopefully in years to come it will be a lot easier, but it is still complex.
Because I'm not a medical professional and I don't have bags of money, so I'd love to plough money and my energies into research and finding a cure or prevention. But the one thing I do have is that I'm a writer and I have experience, and just trying to help people that are caring for people with dementia, because that is something that we can all influence and improve, and if we can do that, then the world will be a better place for people with dementia.
Yeah, that's so true, isn't it? And how's your dad? How is your dad now? Because when did your mum die?
2013.
Yeah, so
January.
3 years ago now.
So yeah, he ups and downs. That he's on a journey and he's slowly coming to terms with it, and more on the up than he is the down. But there are some tough times in the first few years. But
yeah, I mean, so really, you know, your mum was diagnosed at 51 and she actually died at 54, didn't she? Yeah. So she lived with it for around 3 years.
Like in hindsight now, looking back on it, you could tell that she was living with early signs for a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
But it's only when you have the knowledge, you can put all the pieces of the puzzle together, that you can see that. You beat yourself up not for noticing now, something that seems so obvious, having the knowledge that I have now.
But absolutely, and I think, yeah, I'm sure there's elements of you thinking, oh, yeah, I wish I'd known that or whatever. But I suppose what you can take from that is the fact that what you're doing now is giving other people, you know, the space and opportunity to recognise that. So if they read the book and see you at events, you know, they can know more about it, and I think that's really important, isn't it?
And that's my goal, just to try and help as many people through my words, through my mum's story. The book itself is filled with a lot of experiences and stories from days in the life of me and my mum, some of the things that worked, some of the things that didn't work. So I'm hoping that will inspire and encourage others just to make the best life possible for themselves and for the person they're caring for.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you give some examples? You're saying about things that worked, and I know we know that, you know, once you've met one person with dementia, you've met one person, because everyone is different. But what worked for your mum? What were some of the things that worked? I mean, how, you know, in day-to-day life, what worked and what didn't work? Could you give me a couple of examples?
I think the one big thing is that I think a lot of people who care for people with dementia, like want to set goals, want to try and see an improvement or something done well, that I would try, instead of trying to set targets or things I want my mum to do, I would just try and sit back and watch her and be thankful and appreciative and celebrate the things when she did do something well, instead of already building pressure on the day of things you want to achieve, and try and forget about looking at the watch and timing your day, and just trying just to go with how the person you're caring for is. Because my mum, like any other person with dementia, she'd have good days, she'd have bad days, and it's trying to not on the bad days think that that's it, because there might be a good day around the corner, and it's just appreciating those good days when they come to get you through the bad days.
Yeah, and like you say, yeah, absolutely. I think that's really relevant, isn't it, to say that, you know, if you have a bad day, that doesn't mean it's going to be like that for months. It could be totally different the next day. And it's about, I guess, from your point of view as being a son and somebody that supported her, and your dad and other brothers, is about, you know, being flexible, patient. And obviously there's some of the issues that your mum might have, somebody else is going to have different issues depending on the lobe of the brain that's affected. What specifically were the issues for your mum, that the challenges? Did she have a change in behaviour, or was her...
Thankfully her behaviour didn't change too much from her character, that her mobility changed a lot, her ability to communicate changed quite drastically. But the one sentence that she always remembered how to say, that she couldn't remember to say much else, but she always say, "I love you."
Oh.
And like in every situation, I think that she had a little bit of awareness when she was doing something wrong or the day wasn't going right, that she'd say it more and more. It's like that she realised herself that life wasn't great, or she was doing things wrong, but she just wanted to make sure that she knew that we knew that she loved us. And that's one thing she kept just about the end.
Yeah, I think you're really brave.
Thank you.
You know, I think coming on here today, and I know you've done some radio before, but when you wrote to me a few months ago, I thought, yes, I'm going to have Adam on. I hope he doesn't mind coming up from Cornwall, or we'll do it over the phone. So we're going to play a lovely song in a minute that's in memory of your mum, which I'm very happy for you to introduce. Is there anything, obviously the book, Unbreakable Bond, so how can people purchase it? I know you said Waterstones.
Okay. I've got a website which is unbreakablebond.co.uk, which has lots of information about the book, the backstory, different places to buy it, reviews, etc. But you can get it on Amazon as an ebook or a physical print copy, Waterstones, some libraries, some independent bookshops. But if you go in any bookshop and ask for Unbreakable Bond by Adam Sibley, at the very least they'll be able to order you in a copy.
Great. Adam Sibley, and it's Unbreakable Bond. That's brilliant. So hopefully people are going to go out and buy that book, or certainly have a look at it and look at your website.
I hope so. And if anybody does buy the book, feel free to get in touch with me via the website. I'd love to hear if it's helped you or touched you in any way.
Yeah, I think those things are really important as well, aren't they, to know and hear about. And have you had that sort of feedback?
I've been thankful that through the website I've had a few emails, and through some of the website the book's available on, people have written some lovely things in the review section and comments. So,
that makes such a difference. You must be very proud.
That it's just trying to be part of a community and to encourage a community of people that are going through similar shared experiences, that have a space to be able to share them with each other, and I want to do all I can to encourage that.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you coming on the show today and driving up from Cornwall.
My pleasure.
And would you like to introduce the lovely song, one of my favourite songs?
I can't remember which one of her songs you chose, but my mum's favourite artist was Shania Twain, and we enjoyed listening to songs from her. This song is From This Moment On by Shania Twain.
Thanks, Adam.